Hello everyone, welcome to the Intermediate Algorithm Scripting Challenge, Wherefore Art Thou? I pre-recorded this and other challenges, and they somehow didn't have any audio. So I'm just gonna do that a bit faster than other videos, and I also just have the code that I made myself. I'm just gonna go over it, explain a little bit what I wrote, because I don't want to just delete everything and code it all again from scratch. Well, like I record for the third time. So I hope this is the last time that I record this video. Anyways, so Wherefore Art Thou is a challenge where you get an array that has objects, several objects. That would be the first argument, an array with several objects, and they both have, like, all of those objects, they all have properties, several properties. Some of them are not filled, some of them are, most of them. And then as a second argument, we get another object that is gonna be the kind of the reference where we would look out for the property or the properties that are in that object, because it's also possible that we have several properties that we look out for, and we would just search for them in the array that is provided as the first argument, and we would return the objects within the first argument, so within this array where we find the properties from the second argument. So here we search for capital A. Well, actually, we search for last. We search for last here in this array, and we find all last keys. And then we look for the capital A property, the capital A value within the last key. We have to look out for that in every object here. And then if we find it, we return the whole object. So first Tybalt and last capital A. So that's basically what we do there. And what I coded is a short solution, but it is, I think, quite an efficient solution. You basically just take the keys from the source. So the second argument, the key is last. In an object you have keys and values, and instead of getting the value, we get the key to search for that key within the first argument. So we want to have that. By the way, I'm gonna show you object.keys is a JavaScript method, and it returns an array with all the keys of what you put in here. And you have this example here with an object, and you get the keys from that object, and they are basically A, B, C. So you would get them in an array, and in the same way you would get them like an array of one element here, but then in this other example you would get an array with two elements, apple and bat. So then what I did was basically get the first argument collection and filter that, and I did a filter with ES6 syntax where I return implicitly, so without the curly braces and the return statement. And I take every item, so every object, from every object I loop over them and within the keys of that object, so first and last, I look for every one of those keys. And when we do that with every, which is another JavaScript method, is because every checks if all of the conditions, like we have the array here with last capula, and that would be an array with one element. So for that we could just do map, of course, but we want to do every, because it's not always gonna be an array of one element. Here we have an object with two elements, so when we do the object keys on them, we would get an array with two elements, and then we want to only find the objects in the array, so in the first argument, that have the exact same key and property value, right, from both of the elements of the second argument. So here it would have them. Here it wouldn't, because it's only for one. It's only true for one key. But here we would have them, because even though we have cookie, we also have apple and bat. So basically it is correct that we have one apple and two bats. And that's why we use every. We cannot expect that it's always going to be one element within the second argument. And yeah, like I said, you just loop over that and you get from item the key. Now you actually get the the property value from that, because when you do item and then key, then you would actually get through the key to the value. So you would look, is that equal to what we have what we have as the second argument for every of the elements of the second argument. That's why we have every again. And if it's true for all of them, then you would return those objects, and that's why you would just filter them into the object, or actually the array that you're returning. So if we run the tests, we pass them. This was a bit different because for me it was quite unexpected, but yeah, I'm tired of re-recording this video, so I just had to do this. I just had to do it this way. So sorry for that, but if you have any questions, and by the way, that also goes for the next videos. Unfortunately, I had to re-record. I mean, I will have to re-record all of them thrice. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but yeah. If you have any questions, please write them down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and we see each other in the next video. Bye bye.